we have a lot of big personalities, in this industry, in this room. Notwithstanding the two of us, we're pretty humble guys. How do you thread that needle in building a culture within an organization of sort of being a leader, putting a premium on results, having a job to do, sort of the ugly things of business at times, yet still be kind of likable and create a culture that fosters collaboration, family, stuff like that?
I think it starts with authenticity. You can't be anybody but yourself, and you treat people like family. We all grew up in a family, and we've had fights with our brothers and sisters, but you still love them. So those are the hard times, and you have a lot of good times that you get to share. It's great to do business with people you like, because there's going to be hard situations, and you might as well do it with people that you care about, people that you want to see succeed. At the end of the day, you want everybody to succeed around you, regardless of what company they're at, whatever ego is in the way of that, or whatever that can be. I think we have a fantastic industry, and it's attracting the right people that align with your culture, your authenticity, and you want to find that next level of success. There's going to be things you're going to be able to help them with. There's things that they're going to be able to help you with, and together you collectively get to a better place.
Yeah, one of the things that Kenny mentioned was sort of being independent. And, let's be honest, you have the mothership of C2, right? But in reality, you kind of 1,000 independents, right? And so what are some of the things that you guys do to create some cohesion instead of this, organization being scattered, in thousands of pieces, with big personalities, with folks who are every single day essentially working to live, don't know where their next paycheck's coming from if they don't close that loan. Stakes are high. People by nature have to be somewhat selfish in their intentions because of that. I think, we at times undersell the importance of strong leadership, in that ecosystem. Can you talk a little bit about what, maybe you inherited from your dad, and then some spins that you've put on it, in the continuance of, the legacy that you guys are building?
Yeah, it starts with believing in yourself. My dad was a big advocate of the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, and that's a lot of goal setting, writing things down, setting an action plan behind it, and then your body and your mind is like a heat-seeking missile to hit it. We've all made the leap. We all have an entrepreneurial spirit. That's why we're here. We found a space that we like, we deliver value, and we feel good about doing that every day. I think that's a start. Think about the long term. I mean, sure, it might be, pushing paper at times, but at the end of the day, you're helping families get into homes and changing the fabric of the communities around you. So I think that's really powerful. I think that, believing in yourself is the number one, and you're going to have to take that leap. And at some point, it's nice to maybe learn on someone else's dime, but you're never going to get to where you want successfully, or the success level that you feel, if you're working for someone else. I think the businesses that we have at C2 specifically is a way for you to be independent and entrepreneurial, but not to do it on your own. We take off all the things that you don't want to do so you can focus at what you're the best at. I deal with the legal, the licensing, the compliance, the lender relations, the branding, all that stuff. So you can focus, so the loan officer can really focus on exactly what they're good at, which is getting out in front of their realtor partners or whoever their spheres of influence are. And then, delivering to the borrower, on the purchase, on the refinance. You mentioned community, how we stay connected, because we're all extremely independent. I've got 1,100 people in 40 different states. So how do you stay connected and feel like you're part of an organization when you're working from a home office or a satellite office or something? We host events like this. I still am a big believer in getting together face to face, sharing a drink, sharing a conversation. We recently did one. It was a builder theme. We had it all set up in construction. Feel like it would have been a good one for this.
Well, we can hear the the bulldozers back there. And, you know, when Dave was up on stage, all I kept thinking in the back of my mind, like I wanted to telepathically communicate to you, Kenny, got asked a question like, do you think this is Goodell sabotaging you? Like he's back there pushing some buttons. Let's get some, you know, noises. But, you know, when you talk about team building and having events, and if I remember correctly, the first tag, which actually was EPMX, if I'm not mistaken, was the first event that was held publicly after COVID. And, you know, I think that 12, 18-month lockdown kind of potentially has forever changed business and how we interact with each other. And I know that at EPM at times we kind of struggle with creating the intimacy that an office creates. Obviously, you know, we have a couple, 3 offices that you know, we bring people into, but we are definitely a national presence in terms of, you know, our workforce, you know, and I'd imagine that you guys have a similar challenge with originators all over the place. You know, how do you struggle with that contemplation of scale, yet intimacy within a business that's necessary to create culture?
I think it's interesting. I heard somebody talking about their business and what they're obsessed with. And like, you know, when someone started a business, they were absolutely obsessed with that business. And that's why they started it, to get it going. And I was thinking about that, I think, and as I reflected, I was like, I'm obsessed with our people. I'm obsessed with the people at my company. I'm obsessed with spending time with them. I'm obsessed with sharing experiences with them. And I'm obsessed with seeing them succeed. And I think if you obsess over something, you will make a way to connect. And so like, I've been traveling all over. You probably hear it in my voice. I was in Michigan, and then I was in Scottsdale, and now I was in Los Angeles, and now I'm here, and I get back and I go up to Idaho. You know, a gentleman that runs my reverse divisions up in Idaho. It's his birthday. I've got several loan officers up there, and it's an opportunity for me to connect with them one-on-one. And then, so you have these one-off experiences, just like how you and I connect.
Right.
You know, whether it was, you know, we meet at a conference, but then we go, I want to go deeper, right? I want to go to share an experience with you. And you have that ability to do that. And I think that's how you do that, whether it's with partners, whether it's with people you work with, whether it's people that you're looking to do business with. And I think that, like I said, it's you want to do business with people that you like, because it does get difficult, and you might as well have somebody on the other end that you like. And I think as a community, we come together, we find time, we make the time, because it's all a function of where you want to allocate your time. You put your time, you spend your time where it's most important to you. And so it's figuring out what's the most important to you and who you want to spend it with. And then that's where you deliver. So that's how we kind of come together. I think there's tremendous value in coming together, and it re-energizes you. What I find is the greatest takeaway from the events that we do for our loan officers is the time they just spend together, more so than the speakers that are up on stage. It's actually the experiences, the nuggets that they get from somebody talking about, oh, I had this specific deal and I did this, or I tried that, or I went to this lender, and like light bulbs go off, and somebody comes home, a loan officer comes home and gets back to their desk and go, I remember what John said. I remember what Sally said. Something that was a takeaway, because that's all we're really trying to do, is give them a couple nuggets to change their perspective when they get back to their desk. That's normally something that they're used to.
Well, and you know, not only is it a nugget, and I've said this several times, almost every year I sort of throw out there at some point in the show, is that I don't know that anybody's going to come here or go to an AIM Fuse or go to a company event and have their life changed by a speaker or some of the things. Once in a while it might happen. I think that what you've got to look for is that one thing that you probably already know. You almost definitely already know, but that over time you become desensitized to, you kind of forget about. And I think that as we become more comfortable, and it's not just in business, this is in relationship life, you take things for granted. You begin to cut corners. You don't invest. And that's something that I've been talking a lot about. And I want to ask you about legacy, but really to kind of, as a prelude to that, I think that the number one shortcoming of folks that I've found in business is that they don't consistently invest. that delayed gratification. Everything needs to be an immediate payoff. And those quiet moments that might not deliver immediate results oftentimes are the ones that are the biggest long-term payoff. So, in that regard, we've talked about legacy before, and not only is this business for you, but it's personal, it's family. What does legacy mean to you? And 10 years from now, what would you like to sort of be known for in terms of your organization and your role within it?
Legacy is carrying on something that's important to you and taking it to the next level and making that person, or honoring that person that you took the torch from, and making them proud. And that could be doing it in your own way. You have to do it your way and not theirs. I remember the first time I jumped on stage after my pops passed, I put on his old shoes. I put on his shoes and I wore them the way I was going to wear them, and that's the way it goes. They're, old Alan Edmonds, and I shined them up, and that's what I wore. And, I'm sure that him and Kevin are up above figuring out how to do mortgages up there. Right. But, it's an opportunity. There's a time in everyone's life where there's a calling, and there's a time for that calling is an opportunity for them to lead. And that answer can be yes or no. And regardless of what that answer is, you'll always be that person's son or that person's daughter, and that's totally cool, and that's your choice. And my answer was yes, and it was a great opportunity. I took it as amazing opportunity that I felt like there was no one better than me to do. And I'm grateful every day. I'm blessed to be around incredible people and be in an amazing industry and get to speak. I'm honored to speak in front of everyone here, and it's a really cool space.
Awesome. As we wind up, second half. So, I think if you ask the average market pundit, the average mortgage veteran, they expected 25 to look a certain way. We're going to go back to 2% interest rates a year ago. When's the next refi boom coming? And none of it's really materialized, and likely never will, by the way, in the way that I think folks had hoped. So what are you looking for in the second half of the year? What are some of the things that you think are going to be opportunities? What are things that you'd like to see your team work on and improve on as we turn this corner into the second half of 25?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a cyclical business. My family's been in this business for 30 years. We've seen several cycles. It's, what we're doing now is no different than what we did when we were back in 2010, 11, coming out of, the last cycle. And it's no surprise why top producers at my company are top producers. I see the effort, I see the activity, I see the hard work that they put in, and I see the numbers they put up because of it. And it's kind of back to the basics. You're not seeing deals fall from the sky because rates are 2s and 3s. I mean, that's an outlier. If you rule that out of the equation, we're in a good part of the economy. Sure, could things get better? Shit could always get better, but we're going to make the most of what we have right now. And I think historically, if I look back, every month, quarter over quarter, we've consistently been building in terms of numbers, volume, growth, in terms of people coming to the company. So I think it's that organic growth. I know we want immediate gratification, and sometimes in sales you get that. I make more calls, I get more deals, I close more commissions, I make more money. I flipped out of doing commercial mortgage brokerage, commercial banking, all that stuff, and it was an interesting evolution of going into a leadership role and really playing the long game, being exactly who you are and growing by authenticity and having people attracted to the company that want to be part of it and grow. And I think that is the reward. And I think everyone's here to grow and grow their team and grow their business. And if you consistently be yourself and go in every day and never give up, show up every day, then good things will happen. And that's all I want for the second half of the quarter, is just consistently hitting those numbers and having a good holiday cheer,
Well, one, I know you show up every day. Two, I know you're always yourself, and that's why I love you. And I can't thank you enough for the partnership, the friendship, and I really, really look forward to some great times ahead.
Absolutely.
Everybody, give it up for David Temko. Love you, brother.
Good times, bro.